Assalamu alaikum and hello. Welcome to New Wave Global. I am Faryal. So almost 2 months on from the budget 2024, we are here to take a look at how the common Pakistani is faring through a quagmire of inflation and what is predominantly the country's long-drawn and self-inflicted polycrisis. And I call it self-inflicted because everyone in position of authority and power knows exactly what needs to be done, but nobody is up to fixing anything because it suits their interests. We do not need data to recognize the inequity of lives across Pakistan today amid a cocktail of political turmoil, institutional decadence, and economic downturn. Enabled by power battles of Pakistan's titans, the country's people lie truly forlorn and forgotten, something that can be seen all around. The unheard stories of struggle and strain of the average Pakistani and the worsening daily grind make it quite clear that people are the least prioritized factor in the realm of policy making in Pakistan. From the tea stalls and street huddles to editorials and columns of national newspapers, conversations and concerns reflect a growing sense of hopelessness and despair among the masses. Analysts are alarmed that Pakistan has sailed too deep into uncharted waters, and unless course correction is enabled, the country is headed towards a state of public unrest. But the warning falls on deaf ears as authorities continue with their old, self-preserving, self-serving ways, while ever-increasing troubles define the lives of working-class Pakistani households. As we mark the country's 77th Independence Day, a rather demoralized and disheartened nation celebrates Arshad Nadim's gold. Talking about what may be dubbed the unbudged budget, this year's budget also failed to budge from the old, ineffective ways of the past. Henceforth, the average Pakistani, it's a daily struggle to make ends meet and make the toughest of choices between food and fees, rent and recreation, and bills and bargains. Whosoever you speak to on the roads, in a gathering, at the mall, which I did, has a story of despair to tell. According to one citizen, dividing incomes among the various household expenditure heads has become impossible as there are no earnings left to allocate to other heads after paying utility bills. A columnist for a local English newspaper recently wrote how three people who earn only around rupees 40,000 a month each approached him for help because their electricity bills were for July stood at, I think, rupees 54,000, rupees 24,000, and rupees 23,000, which was obviously very difficult for them to pay. There are countless families that have basically faced similar predicaments as they cut expenses on food, healthcare, and education to an extent that harms not only them, but also the country in the long run. According to data published by the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics, post-budget monthly food inflation hit a high of 4.5% in the urban centers, which is the highest percentage of food inflation since March last year. The inflationary surge came after the government imposed additional taxes to secure the new IMF deal, while the ongoing fiscal year continues to crush the inflation. It continues to crush inflation-weary urban middle and lower middle classes. Instead of going for bold, reformative initiatives to rescue the economy, and despite being repeatedly advised by the World Bank to tax the rich, here we are taxing the already taxed again. And this current significant rise in the cost of living is being attributed to the government's failure to equitably distribute the tax burden across all segments of the economy. Consumption-based indirect taxes, we know, always disproportionately target low-income households compared to affluent ones. Now, this government and many before it have a set formula where people's purchasing power is eroded through inflation, and then the same people are taxed who have been paying their taxes all along, further reducing their purchasing power and disposable incomes. Overtaxing the same cohort repeatedly means depleting the income of the government's most tax-compliant segment, implying that the real taxes it collects from this segment may also decline as the incentive to pay taxes hits a new low. Government's half-hearted attempt at what it claims is meant to convert non-filers to filers comes through an increase in withholding taxes. Now, withholding taxes, they have been around for quite some time, and they've done little to make non-filers file taxes in the past. So one wonders if increasing withholding taxes actually leads to more individual filing taxes. In fact, according to experts, this increase in withholding taxes of 2.5% on the manufacturer, distributor, retailer value chain will result in manufacturers passing the costs to the consumers, further contributing to inflation. We witness mechanisms such as shrinkflation and skimpflation, where portion sizes and quality deteriorates, which is one way when we buy our food and grocery items. We see that happening very often, and this is one way how manufacturers basically pass on increasing costs to consumers. Take-home salaries for most people have gone down as well, despite increments due to increased taxation. People have been complaining that this indicates a deepening of the tax, basically taxation, the tax base, not expansion. According to one source, over the last 5 years, the salaried middle class has been rapidly shrinking in Pakistan, with middle classes losing almost 45% of its purchasing power through inflation and taxes, while real income has dropped by more than 30%. Salaried middle and lower classes are perturbed at the prospect of giving up more of their hard-earned income at a time of extreme economic crisis, as successive governments pay little attention to public needs while discriminately taxing the public, and people on the streets are now asking, if they pay more taxes, what do they get in return? Quality? Health? No. Education? No. Justice? A big no. Security? No. Unemployment benefits? No. The system that best addresses these public needs has never been allowed to develop in Pakistan, which is the system of local governments that are more connected to the people at the grassroots level. The political elite is reluctant to strengthen the local government system because they fear it will undermine their electoral hegemony, and hence are reluctant to transfer powers and funds to the local governments. In the words of one citizen, people can at least have a say through their local government representatives in deciding where their money should be spent. But rot could not have run deeper, as billions of rupees in subsidies are instead given to government's own and other privileged groups as free electricity, petrol, luxury cars, air travels, expensive accommodations, while the man on the street struggles to put food on their plate. It is little comfort for the layman that Pakistan is on its way to securing another IMF deal unless these macro developments directly impact the micro stories of the lives of Pakistan's people. With the highest percentage of young people, which is 64% of the total population of Pakistan, which is below the age of 30, we also sadly have the highest percentage of illiterate youth in the world and third highest number of stunted children. Now, what hopes does every passing Independence Day signify for this budding generation unless this youth bulge is turned into an asset by providing the youth with health, education, skills, and training so that our youth become valuable human resource and more of Arshad Nadeem's and not become just numbers. Till next time, Allah Hafiz and goodbye.